Hello, my name is Layao Shimre. I'm an English teacher. India is a vast country with diverse cultures. Northeast India is the easternmost region of India, representing both a geographic and political, administrative division of the country. Today, we will be learning the chapter The Seven Sister States of your English course book, Unit 1, Lesson C. The Seven Sister States is a popular term for the contiguous states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura prior to the inclusion of the state of Sikkim into the northeastern region. Northeast states has a lot to offer, and the places are still unexplored. So many places are there which are still unexplored, hence they are also known as the Paradise Unexplored. These states has richest areas in biodiversity in India, and they are home to unique wildlife. The total area covered is 255,511 square kilometers. That is about 7% of India's total area. It has a population of 44.98 million according to 2011 census. That is about 3.7% of India's total population. Although there is a great ethnic and religious diversity within these 7 states, they also have similarities in social, political, economic contexts. And the main industries in the region are tea-based, crude oil, natural gas, silk, bamboo, and handicrafts. The whole area is deeply forested with plentiful of rainfall. So, this location of the region is also strategically important. Means it is very advantageous as it has international borders with Bangladesh, China, and Myanmar. These states has richest areas in biodiversity in India and home to unique wildlife. It is also home to one-horned rhinoceros and elephants. Those two you would find in Assam. And also Sangai deer. Sangai deer, Sangai is the state animal of Manipur. You will find it in Manipur. The Sangai is, what is Sangai? Sangai is an endemic and endangered species of a brown-antlered deer. It is found only in Manipur, and it is also the state animal, as I've mentioned before, it is also the state animal of Manipur, and its common English name is Manipur brown-antlered deer or Ell's deer, or the scientific name given to Sangai deer is Rucervus ld. Its original natural habitat is the Kebul Lamjau National Park. And where is it located? It is located in the southern parts of the Loktak Lake, and it is a floating marshy grassland. Okay, and what is Loktak Lake? You'll find, I'll explain to you later what Loktak Lake is. But here, it is also the largest freshwater lake in the eastern India. And it is also the entire northeast region is also home to so many other endangered wildlife. It is endowed with rich forest wealth, and it is ideally suited to produce a whole lot of plantation crops and spices, fruits, vegetables, etc. So, the rich flora, the natural, beauty and exotic flora and fauna of this region are resources for development of ecotourism. There is this council called the Northeast Council. What is Northeast Council? It is the nodal agency for the economic and social development of the Northeast region. The council was initially set up as an advisory body, but now sanctioned as a regional planning body since 2002. This was done so as to take care of the economic and social planning of these 7 states, as well as to provide mediation in the event of inter-states disputes. Today, we will be learning more in detail about one of these states called Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal Pradesh is also known as the land of dawnlit mountains. Land of dawnlit mountains, which literally means the land of the rising sun. Why it is called the land of the rising sun? It is called in reference to its position as the northeasternmost state of India. It borders the states of Assam and Nagaland to the south, and it shares international border with Bhutan in the west, Myanmar in the east, and a disputed border with China in the north with McMahon Line. It is claimed both by the Republic of China and Republic of China Taiwan as part of the region of South Tibet. So there is this dispute going on between India and China regarding Arunachal Pradesh also. And Itanagar is the state capital of Arunachal Pradesh, which is the largest of the 7 sister states of Northeast India. Okay, now coming to the native people who resides in Arunachal Pradesh. Like other parts of the Northeast, the native people of Arunachal Pradesh trace their origin to Tibeto-Burman and Mongoloid race. It is located between 26.28 degree north and 29.30 degree north latitude and 91.20 degree east and 97.30 degree east longitude. It is mostly mountainous. Okay, the state of Arunachal, it is mostly mountainous with the Himalayan ranges running north-south. So most of this the Arunachal Pradesh terrain consists of deep valleys, and they are covered and surrounded, flanked by highland plateaus and ridges that rises to the peak of the Great Himalayas. This divides the state into 5 river valleys like the Kameng, as you would see in the picture, the Subansiri, the Siang, the Lohit, and the Tirap of Arunachal. And they are all fed by the snow from the Himalayas and countless rivers and rivulets. Rivulets means small stream of water. Now, among all these, the mightiest of these rivers is Siang. It is also called Sangpo in Tibet, which becomes the Brahmaputra after it is joined by the Dibang and the Lohit in the plains of Assam. The entire mountain slopes and hills are covered with alpine. Alpine means high, connected with high mountains, okay? So they are all covered with alpine, temperate and subtropical forests of dwarf rhododendrons. Dwarf means short. So a dwarf rhododendron is a dwarf flowering evergreen shrub with a tight compact form and sensational spring flowers. They cover the entire mountain range, and the mountains are covered with oak also. Oak is a kind of tree, you all know. Pine, maple and juniper. Juniper is an evergreen shrub. It is a small tree bearing cone-like berries, okay? So all these trees covered and adorn the mountains of the Arunachal Pradesh. And sal and teak are their main economically valuable species. Arunachal Pradesh can be said to be a multi-religious state. Why? Because it has all the religious sects. According to the 2001 Indian census, the Hindus constitute the majority of the population with 3,79,935. That is about 34.69%. And Christians follows with 2,55,048. That is 28.79% of the total Christian population. And Buddhist has about 1,43,028, about 13.9%. And there are also Sikhs, Jains and others. Others means mostly Doni Polo. I'll tell you what Doni Polo is. They constitute the rest of the population. Now, Doni Polo is an indigenous religion of the Tani and other Tibeto-Burman people residing in Arunachal Pradesh. Doni means sun and Polo means moon. The name was chosen to revitalize and institutionalize. Revitalize means revive, okay? And they choose this name to revitalize and institutionalize to protect its indigenous religion. Indigenous means their ancient, their tribal religion from the onslaught of modernity and other outside religion. Onslaught means attack, okay, or any kind of invasion from modernity and other outside religion. Moving on, literacy wise, we can say that Arunachal Pradesh has made progress because it has risen in official figures to 66.95% in 2011 from 54.74 in 2011. That is for literacy. Literacy wise, it is making a progress. And for transport, a greenfield means a land which is not yet developed, okay? So a greenfield airport serving Itanagar is being planned at Halongi at a cost of 6.50 million rupees. And Arunachal has two highways, the 336 kilometer National Highway completed in 1998, which connects Jonai and Dirak, and another highway which connects Tezpur in Assam and Tawang. So they have two national highways. For railways, Arunachal was supposed to get its first railway line in late 2013 when the new line is connected with Nahariagun in Arunachal Pradesh. Hornbill is the state bird of Arunachal Pradesh, and foxtail orchid is the state flower, and Gayal is Mithun, okay? Mithun is the state animal of Arunachal, and Holong is the state tree of Arunachal. It is a very tall tree and its flowers can be found in June and July. It has medicinal properties also, and it is mainly used for its timber in constructing houses. So students, that is all about the Seven Sisters states from your course book, and particularly about Arunachal Pradesh. We have learned about the Seven Sisters states and Arunachal Pradesh. But now let me also tell you more about the northeastern states, which is not given in your text, but which I think is essential for you to know so that you'll have a broader perspective of the Northeast in whole, okay? These seven states have been attracting many travelers and explorers from all over the world with different, tribal and ethnic groups, religions, festivals, and fabulous landscapes. The Seven Sisters states have religious, ethnic, and cultural diversities of interesting tribal cultures and traditions. But let us learn more about the attractive or the important places of these seven states, okay? Number one, Kaziranga National Park. Kaziranga National Park, it is a home to one-horned rhinoceros. Kaziranga National Park is one of the most popular and beautiful places of Seven Sisters states in Assam. Surrounded by the aromatic and plush green tea gardens, Kaziranga is declared as the World Heritage Site. One can enjoy jeep safaris in the forest and spot elephants, rhinos, tigers, deers, and numerous birds at Kaziranga. Number two, let us talk about Kohima, Nagaland. In Kohima, with the gorgeous Japfu range in the background, Kohima is one of the most tranquil and mesmeric places in Seven Sisters of Northeast India. When you travel on the road, the thick forest, the luxuriant valleys, and the misty weather overwhelm the travelers. When you travel, you will just be very feel very pleasant to see the valleys with thick forests, and the weather is just misty and very nice to enjoy. And one can trek, when you visit Kohima, you can trek the Jugu Valley, you can visit Kohima War Cemetery and Natangi Wildlife Sanctuary, and the biggest church in Asia is in Junepoto district of Nagaland. So you can visit that place also. And thirdly, Imphal. Imphal, the capital of Manipur, is one of the top educational hubs among all the capitals of the Seven Sisters states, and it is one of the most gorgeous places of the Seven Sisters states. Imphal is a place of meandering rivers, lush green valleys. You'll find lots of fields on the way, paddy fields, and you can find lakes and misty mountains, okay? Now, when we talk about lake, Loktak Lake, which is the largest freshwater lake in India, offers captivating beauty, while and you can go for a boat ride, and you can also spend your time on the Phumdi, which is the floating hut which you can find on the Loktak Lake. And you can also visit the heritage Kangla Fort, which showcases rich cultural and history of the bygone days of Manipur. And a visit to Imphal will not be complete without visiting Ima Kethel. It is one of the largest, market in the world, run exclusively by women folk only. And here in Ima Kethel, variety of local made products are available. So you can visit Ima Kethel when you come to Imphal. And now, Champhai, Mizoram. Champhai is an offbeat and serene town, okay? And Champhai in Mizoram is a delight for all when you visit Champhai. It is also known as the rice bowl of Mizoram. Champhai has lush green fields of rice done in terrace farming and boasting of Tialui River, Reedy Lake, and Kungauri National Park. This scenic and quaint hill station, Mizoram is a hill station, okay, is one of the most beautiful places in the Northeast. So you can, when you visit Northeast, you can also have this place in mind. And now let's talk about Arunachal Pradesh again. Here, when you visit Arunachal Pradesh, do not miss visiting Tawang Monastery. Tawang Monastery is located by the sparkling Tawang Chu River. This awesome place is popular for a vintage monastery by the same name and Taksang Komba. Tawang Monastery is said to be the oldest in India, and it showcases, various traits and traditions of the Tibetan culture and ethos. So Tawang is arguably one of the most beautiful places in India. Every traveler must visit. And now Tripura. Tripura is the smallest among all these seven sister states. Agartala is the capital of this state, and Tripura is also rich in natural wonders, and it is home to many native tribes, heritage, monuments and temples. Rich in natural wonders and home to many native tribes, heritage, monuments and temples. Agartala is one of the most fascinating places of Tripura. People exploring Agartala can also make plans to visit Ujjanta Palace, Kamla Sagar, Nirmahal Palace, Gandhajera Wildlife Sanctuary, and Kalapanya Natural Park. So that is about Tripura. And now last but not the least, Shillong, Meghalaya. Rightly described as the Scotland of the East, Shillong is an ideal destination for those seeking for peace and relaxation. With Umem Lake at the heart of the city, Shillong has a lush green forest. Shillong has lush green hills, winding roads, cascading waterfalls, and yummy Tibetan food. You can also visit Cherrapunchi and relish and enjoy the stunning view of the Shillong Peak, okay? And here, Mohsin Ram also claimed to have the highest average rainfall on earth, exists in Meghalaya. So you can visit that also. And Molinong in Meghalaya is the cleanest village in Asia as shown in the picture. And there are also so many other attractive places which I cannot mention all here, but you make sure to explore Northeast. So, the seven sister states of India have a very rich and captivating tribal history, and all these states are inhabited by different native tribes, and each one has its own traditions, rituals, festivals practiced by tribal communities for years and years. And about the Northeast, about the Seven Sisters states, Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, while addressing the 65th plenary of the Northeast Council on 27th May 2006, he rightfully said, I quote, "All the states of the Northeast region are blessed with natural scenic beauty and distinct historical, cultural and ethnic heritage. All this offers tremendous scope for tourism in the region. There is also a great scope for mountaineering, trekking and adventurous tourism in the region. If developed and promoted well, this can emerge as the biggest employer in the region. It can also add to growth and income of the region." That's all for today. Thank you.